Hello. So in this video, we're going to take our balloon pop project and really turn it into a game by giving it a win and a lose condition. So the idea is that when we run it, once we pop all the balloons, then you've won. And then another thing we could add is to have a timer going so that if you don't pop all the balloons by the time the timer is up, then you've lost the game. So it usually comes down to having a variable of some kind. Now we could sneak some of these you win, you lose kind of things into a certain location. But I think it'd be good to think of it in a very big sense from the whole game. So I'm going to make a new variable at the very top of the code that's going to be accessible by the entire game, all the different functions. So I'm going to create a variable called game over. I'm going to set that equal to false. Right? When the game starts, the game is not over yet. And that is going to allow me to do something inside of the function draw here. So I'm going to kind of assume that all of this stuff is still good. But then I'm going to use this if statement here. If game over, I could say equals true. But in this case, I'm actually going to take that part off. Right, so if game over is true. But then what do I want to do? Well, I want to display game over. Now we could also then get into displaying whether you win or you lose, because the game over scenario is going to be one of those two things. So also in having this game over variable, I also want to make another variable called result, maybe. All right, I am actually just going to declare it that it exists. I'm not going to give it any kind of a value. It's going to be at a certain moment, when the game is over, that would actually have a value of some kind. So what I want to do if game is over? Well, then I want to say text result, which would say you win or you lose. And I want to say this kind of around the middle of the screen. Now we could play around with positioning, but more or less this is what I'm looking for. And so at half the width and half the height there. Okay, so now this is false, so currently this is never going to happen. So I want to think about when could the game be over, actually. So one way is when I've clicked all of the balloons. All right, and that happens down in this mouse versus balloon method. That's the moment when I click on a balloon inside this if statement, I know that I actually did click on the balloon. So this would tell me whether I have clicked all of the balloons or not. So there's a few different ways we could go about this. We could make a variable to also keep track of how many balloons did I click. But that is kind of built into the array that we have here too. That we could determine whether, how many of the balloons did we click. Right, so what we could do is write a function called count balloons left. So how many balloons are left here? Now it's going to go through all the balloons. So we're going to have a for loop. Let I equal 0, I less than balloons dot length, I plus plus for the braces. All right, now it's going to go through each of those balloons there, and it's going to figure out how many balloons are still active at that point. All right, so it's what I need to do before the for loop here is to make a variable. Like, do I have 5 balloons left? Do I have 7? So let balloons left equal 0 because before I start counting, I don't think that I have any balloons that are left. It's not until this actually happens here. So if balloons brackets I dot active, I could say equals true, but I don't necessarily have to because that's either going to be true or false. And so if balloons I, like that one balloon, is active, essentially, then what I want to do, I want to take balloons left, and then I'm going to increase it by 1. I'm going to do plus plus here, which is the same as plus equals 1. And then I'm going to fix my spelling here to make sure that it matches up with what I am naming the variable here. All right, so this if statement is going to repeat 40 times, however many balloons we have. It's going to see, is this one balloon active? Oh, it is? Okay, so increase that number. And if it would never find any of these balloons to be active, then this number is going to stay as a 0. All right, so after the for loop is finished and it's looked at all of the balloons, what I want to do is return balloons left. I return that number so I can tell are there 0 balloons left or is 1 balloon. So when I call this function and it's going to return a number, right, then this function call kind of turns into a number. So I can show it to you this way, like if I have clicked on a balloon, it's possible that I've just clicked on the last balloon there. So I'm going to say if count balloons left as the function equals 0. If it returns 0, it's gone through and counted everything. And what I want to do, well, game is over. So game over equals true. And result equals you win. All right, so then I already have my mouse clicking thing happen. So actually, I should get this to work because I already have this set up here. Or if game over actually turns into true, then this code will happen. All right, and I'll take a little bit of time to click all these here. Some of them are nice and bunched up, so that makes it easier. Move myself around. The suspense is building. So close. Okay, yeah. So tiny little text right there. But I got to say you win at kind of the right moment. Now the weird thing is like it's still saying that, so we could maybe add a no loop here, just so that it's not continuing to spin. But then we got that you win condition. So the next thing we want to look at is the you lose condition too. So kind of using this game over idea, but mixing in a timer.